We want the same things that we see in sci-fi, in like sci-fi movies and books. We want that to come true one day. The reason I started SpaceX back in 2002 was really just to help us get to Mars. You know, I thought there was like maybe a 10% chance of success that SpaceX would work at all. I mean, the very early days, you know, I'd have meetings with NASA and they'd be like, oh yeah, whatever, it's internet guy, you know, PayPal, whatever. You know, it's just some rich guy is gonna like lose all his money and rocket's not gonna work.
And the evolution of life has been, primitive life, I think, started around 3.5 to 3.8 billion years ago. And what are the important steps in the evolution of life? And obviously there was the advent of single-celled life, there was differentiation to plants and animals, there was life going from the oceans to land, there was mammals, consciousness, and I would argue also on that scale should fit life becoming multiplanetary. And in fact, I think consciousness, it's the next step, actually, because you really kind of need consciousness to design vehicles that can transport life over hundreds of millions of miles of irradiated space to an environment that they did not evolve to exist in. You know, it would be very convenient, of course, if there was another planet just like Earth nearby. But that's unlikely, and as it turns out, not the case. I think if one could make a reasonable argument that something is important enough to fit on the scale of evolution, then it's important, and maybe worth a little bit of our resources. There are really two fundamental paths. History is going to bifurcate along two directions. One path is we stay on Earth forever, and then there will be some eventual extinction event. I don't have an immediate doomsday prophecy, but it's eventually, history suggests there will be some doomsday event. The alternative is to become a spacefaring civilization and a multi-planet species, which I hope you would agree that is the right way to go.
It seems like that's imperative. Like that has to happen if the human civilization is going to survive, because our planet is just, we're too subject to natural disasters and our own folly, and if the species is going to survive, we kind of have to escape.
It's mostly about the species. I mean, there have been some real doozies of like massive meteors and super volcanoes, and the continents moved all over the place, and Earth's been a snowball and super hot. If you read like the geological history of Earth, it's like very long and complicated. So, and then there've been so many extinction events, not like just a few. I mean, the Permian extinction event, that was a real rough one, where it's like well over 90% of all species died out.
I mean, I think my reasons for being interested in Mars and doing SpaceX are really that they come down to basically just two things. One, which the prior speaker was articulating, which is there's the defensive reason, in that if we are on more than one planet, the probable lifespan of human civilization and the light of consciousness as we know it is going to be far greater than if we are on one planet. So there's that defensive reason, that life insurance reason, and I think that's obviously a very important thing. Earth's been around for 4 billion years, and civilization about 10,000 years, and it's only now that we have this little window has just cracked open where it's possible for life to extend beyond Earth, and so I think it sort of seems sensible to take advantage of that window while it's open. Hopefully it will be open for a long time, but it could be open for a short time, and so we should take action, and that's sort of the defensive reason. It's not actually the reason that gets me most fired up about Mars. The thing that actually gets me the most excited about it is that I just think it's the grandest adventure I could possibly imagine. It's the most exciting thing. I couldn't think of anything more exciting and more fun and more inspiring for the future than to have a base on Mars. and it will be incredibly difficult, and there'll probably lots of people will die, and terrible and great things will happen along the way, just as happened in the formation of the United States. But it'll be one of those things that is incredibly inspiring, and we must have inspiring things in the world. Life cannot just be about solving, this problem or that problem. There must be things that, when you wake up in the morning, you're glad to be alive. And that, I think, is, for me, the most important reason why we should pursue the establishment of life on Mars. The long-term aspiration is to develop the technologies necessary to transport a large number of people and cargo to Mars in order to create a self-sustaining civilization there. And that's really why I started the company, was because it seemed as though...
To create the possibility for life on other planets.
Yeah, exactly. It sort of started off when I was thinking about what to do after PayPal. And I'd always been interested in space, but I didn't think there was anything that an individual could do in space. It seemed like the province of large governments. But I sort of started looking into it, and I went to the NASA website to find out when we're going to Mars. It seems like, obviously, that is the next thing after the moon. And I couldn't find anything. So I was like, wow, this just seems very strange. Initially, I was under the impression that it was that we'd lost the will to do that. And I later came to the conclusion that I was quite wrong about that. I think the United States in particular is a nation of explorers.
I think it's important that humanity become a multi-planet species. I think most people would agree that a future where we are a spacefaring civilization is inspiring and exciting compared with one where we are forever confined to Earth until some eventual extinction event. That's really why I started SpaceX.
Fundamentally, the future is vastly more exciting and interesting if we're a spacefaring civilization and a multi-planet species than if we're not. You want to be inspired by things. You want to wake up in the morning and think the future is going to be great. And that's what being a spacefaring civilization is all about. It's about believing in the future and thinking that the future will be better than the past. And I can't think of anything more exciting than going out there and being among the stars. That's why.
I think we're at the dawn of a new era, and I think it's going to be very exciting. What we're hoping to do with SpaceX is to push the envelope and provide a reason for people to be excited and inspired to be human.
Like, there have to be reasons that you get up in the morning and you want to live. Like, why do you want to live? What's the point? What inspires you? What do you love about the future? And if we're not out there, if the future does not include being out there among the stars and being a multi-planet species, I find that it's incredibly depressing if that's not the future that we're going to have.